In the previous video, we learned and discussed all the way up to Code Snippet 25. And now, in this video, we'll continue our learning with Code Snippet 26. In this example, we'll learn how to find the absolute positive value of a number in PHP. A very simple, yet powerful concept in programming. Let's look at the code shown in the image. It says, open PHP tag, echo, open bracket, abs, open parenthesis, -2.8. close parenthesis, semicolon, and close PHP tag. Now, what does this code actually do? The abs function in PHP stands for absolute. It's a built-in mathematical function that takes any number, whether it's positive or negative, and returns its absolute value. The absolute value means how far a number is from zero, without caring about whether it's on the positive side or the negative side of the number line. In this case, the number inside the function is negative. 2.8. When PHP runs this code, the abs function removes the negative sign and turns it into a positive number. That's why the output you see in the image is 2.8. The image also helps visualize this process clearly. On the left, it shows -2.8, and on the right, it shows positive 2.8, meaning the abs function has successfully converted the negative value into a positive one. This concept is very useful in programming. Whenever you need to calculate distances, measure differences, or perform comparisons where the direction doesn't matter, you can use the abs function to make sure the result is always positive. So, to summarize, Code Snippet 26 demonstrates how the abs function works in PHP. It takes a negative number, like -2.8, and returns its absolute positive value, 2.8. It's a simple example, but an essential concept that every PHP programmer should understand. The sqrt function, written as sqrt open and close parenthesis, is used to find the square root of a given number. In simple words, it helps you determine which number, when multiplied by itself, gives you the original number. According to the image, the syntax for this function is written as float sqrt open parenthesis value close parenthesis semicolon. This means that the sqrt function accepts one numeric value and returns a floating point number as its result. Now let's look at the example code shown in the image. It says open PHP tag, echo, open bracket, sqrt, open parenthesis, 25, close parenthesis, semicolon, and then close PHP tag. When this line of code runs, the sqrt function takes the number 25 and finds its square root. The square root of 25 is 5, so PHP displays 5 as the output. The image also visually represents this process beautifully. It shows the mathematical square root symbol applied to 25, which results in the number 5. The output box on the right clearly shows this final value. This function is very useful in mathematical operations or scientific calculations where square roots are needed. For example, in geometry, physics formulas, or advanced data processing. The sqrt function in PHP is a simple yet important mathematical function. It takes a number as input, calculates its square root, and returns the result as a positive floating point value. In this case, when the value 25 is given, the output becomes 5. This continues directly from the previous concept, helping you understand another essential mathematical function in PHP programming. In this code snippet, the PHP function sqrt is used to calculate the square root of 16,486. Open PHP tag. Echo, open bracket, sqrt, open parenthesis, 16,486, close parenthesis, semicolon, and then close PHP tag. When this code runs, the sqrt function takes the number 16,486 and quickly calculates its square root. The result of this calculation is approximately 128.39781929612. The image shows this process clearly. On the left side, you can see the number 16,486 under the square root sign, and on the right side, the output is displayed as 128.39781929612. This example demonstrates the real power of the sqrt function. Even though calculating the square root of such a large number would be very difficult and time-consuming for a human to do manually, PHP can do it instantly with just a single line of code. The sqrt function is not only useful for small mathematical tasks, but also plays an important role in solving complex formulas, such as those found in geometry, physics, and scientific computations where large numbers and precise results are required. Code Snippet 27 proves how powerful and efficient the sqrt function in PHP is. It can handle both small and large numbers with ease, returning the correct square root value instantly. In this case, giving us the result 128.397819299612. The round function is used to round off the value of a floating point number. In simple words, whenever you have a long decimal number and you want to make it shorter and easier to read, you can use the round function to reduce it to the desired number of decimal places. The syntax for this function is written as float round, open parenthesis, dollar number, comma, dollar precision, comma, dollar mode, and close parenthesis. Here, the number represents the value you want to round off. The precision defines how many decimal places you want in your result. And the mode is an optional parameter that controls the rounding direction. Now, let's look at the example code given in the image. It says open PHP tag, echo, open bracket, round open parenthesis, 12.5678, comma, 2, close parenthesis, semicolon, and then close PHP tag. When this code runs, PHP uses the round function to round off the number 12.5678 to 2 decimal places. That means the result becomes 12.57. The image also shows this visually. On the left, the original number is 12.5678, and on the right, after rounding off, it becomes 12.57. The output box clearly displays this final rounded value. This function is especially useful in programming when you're dealing with prices, currency values, or any kind of numeric data where precision matters. For example, when displaying monetary values in a shopping cart, you might want to round off numbers to 2 decimal places for better readability. So, to summarize, the round function in PHP helps you round off any floating point number to a specified number of decimal places. It makes numeric data cleaner, easier to read, and more professional in presentation. In this example, the function took 12.5678 and rounded it to 12.57, showing exactly how PHP simplifies floating point numbers with just one simple line of code. Now let's look at Code Snippet 28, which demonstrates the use of the round function and also introduces a new function called rand. The code shown in the image is written as open PHP tag, echo, open bracket, round, open parenthesis, 0.59, close parenthesis, semicolon, then echo, open bracket, round, open parenthesis, 0.39, close parenthesis, semicolon, and finally close PHP tag. When this code runs, the round function processes each of these numbers one by one. For the first number, 0.59, the round function checks its decimal value. Since it is greater than 0.5, PHP rounds it up to the nearest whole number, which is 1. For the second number, 0.39, the round function sees that it is less than 0.5, so it rounds down to 0. That's why the output of this code is 1 and 0. This shows how the round function works perfectly to round off decimal numbers to their nearest integers. Now, in the same image, we also see another function, rand, spelled as RAND with open and close parentheses. The rand function is used to generate a random number every time the code runs. This means each time you execute the program, you'll get a different random integer as the output. For example, when you write echo, open bracket, rand, open and close parentheses, semicolon, PHP will generate a random number such as 4,821 or any other value depending on the system's random generator. So, this image demonstrates two very useful PHP functions, the round function, which is used to round off decimal numbers, and the rand function, which is used to create random integers. These functions are extremely helpful when you're working with mathematical operations or need random values, such as generating random IDs, test data, or any kind of randomized logic in your PHP programs. To summarize, Code Snippet 28 clearly shows that the round function helps simplify decimal numbers into whole numbers. And the rand function adds the ability to generate random numbers automatically, making your code more dynamic and versatile. Where we learned about the rand function, this image now shows Code Snippet 29, which explains in more detail how the rand function works in PHP. The code written in this example says, open PHP tag, echo, space, rand, open and close parentheses, dot, quotation mark, backslash, end quotation mark, semicolon, then echo, space, rand, open parenthesis, 15, comma, 35, close parenthesis, dot, quotation mark, backslash, end quotation mark, semicolon. And finally, echo, space, rand, open and close parentheses, semicolon, and then close PHP tag. Let's understand what this code is doing step by step. The rand function in PHP is used to generate random numbers. In this example, it is called 3 times without any parameters and once with 2 parameters. Each time the rand function is called without parameters, it generates a random integer within PHP's default range, which depends on the system. For example, when you run this code, the first few lines might generate random values such as 2,049,710,092 and 1,063,018,108, and then again another random number. When the function is called with parameters, like rand open parenthesis 15, comma, 35 close parenthesis, PHP generates a random number between 15 and 35. In this case, the output shown in the image is 32, which lies within that range. So, in short, each time you use the rand function, it produces a different result. This makes it extremely useful for cases where randomness is required. For example, generating random IDs, passwords, test data, or even random outcomes in games and simulations. The output displayed in the image shows different random numbers, such as 2,049,710,092, 1,063,018,108, 32, and 1,200, 38,196,620. This shows how powerful and flexible the rand function is in PHP. It can produce random numbers both in general and within a specified range. So, to summarize, Code Snippet 29 demonstrates that each time you call the rand function, you get a new random number. When used without parameters, it generates a random integer based on system limits. And when used with 2 parameters, it produces a random number between the 2 values you specify.